Page 20, Bridal Chorus. This is a melody from the opera Lohengrin. Actually, you hear this in a lot of weddings. It's okay. It's a processional type thing. As far as fingering goes, again, the fingerings in the book are fun. Don't have to change anything. I still don't like repeating the same finger, so I'm going to use there at the beginning those 3 C's. I'm going to use the 4-3-4, just because I don't want to use 4 3 times. Ooh. I think it's dangerous. And throughout this piece, when that passage comes, same thing. In the right hand, at the top of page 21, last measure, you have the G, and then the C. Now, don't particularly agree with using the 3rd finger there, because this is when you put the G, the C, and the E, and the next measure, the G, together. That's an arpeggio. And so the fingering for it would be using the 4th finger on the E. So I recommend 4th finger on that E. And the same thing on the next line. First measure there, use the 4th finger on the E. For the first ending, I would not use the index finger on every one of those C's. Okay, if you want to, but I don't. I do a 3-2-1-2. Start with a 2. First one's with 2, and then starting with the 8th notes, it's a 3, 2, 1, 2. Once you get accustomed to that fingering, believe me, you'll use it a lot. It's great. Now on the page 21, the 3rd line down, last measure, you have those repeated G's. You could do that. You could do that 3-2-1 again, but because the 3 just played the B, it's a little harder here. You could just do a 2-1-2. It's just so you're not using the same finger on every one. Use the same finger if you want to, but I'm recommending that. In the last measure, those repeated G's, again, 1-2-1. And you can use the same fingering in each hand, so you're mirroring the hands. In the left hand, there's really not a lot except the little bit I just pointed out, because you got chords again. Let's talk a little bit about pedal. Again, I recommend you push the pedal down right after you play the notes, and you lift the pedal up between the phrases so we hear breaking the phrases. Take a look on page 20, 2nd line, 1st measure. In the left hand, that dotted half note is supposed to get 3 counts with a dotted, or with a rest. A quarter rest gets the 4th count. So without the pedal, you would not hear the left hand through part of the C, and you wouldn't hear it through the 8th note. That would be by itself. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. But they're saying push the pedal down to the end of the measure. So the 8th or the quarter rest is erased. It's like having a whole note. I don't understand the purpose of that. Why didn't they just put a whole note in there if that's what they want to do? And the phrase is connected. You're not going to lift the pedal until right when you play the first beat of the 2nd measure. Okay, because we don't want any silence. And the bottom line on page 20, 1st measure, you're here, the pedal down. Then we do want silence, so you're going to lift the pedal up before you play the notes in the next measure, and then after you play the notes, you're going to put it right back down. And then at the end of the line there on page 20, the last line, you got to lift the pedal up before you play the notes at the top of page 21, because it's a different phrase. We got to have that silence. Page 21, 2nd line, you have the same situation you had on page 20 on the 2nd line. Different notes, but rhythm's the same, and the pedal goes down. I don't know why it's there. All right. I would like to tell you in the left hand, keep that down for 3 counts and lift it up on count 4. I don't see the point, because the sound's going to keep going if the pedal keeps going. I mean, in theory, yes, you would 1, 2, 3, up on 4. You would lift the left hand on 4, play here. But with the pedal down, it doesn't really matter. 2. Other than it gives you time to move your hand. Okay, one minor little thing with the pedal here. You know, we like breaks between the phrases, but not within a phrase, okay? Take a look at the second line on page 20. The first, second measure, the first two measures of the line. You hear pedals down, you go up to the end of the measure, and the pedal comes up. Push the pedal up right when you play the notes in the second measure, because we don't want any silence there, okay? Because it's a phrase. 2, 3. So it's all connected together. We need to talk a little bit about the roadmap on this piece. Over on page 21 in the second line, they have a first and second ending. However, there's no repeat sign. Doesn't have to be. So what goes on? Well, they put a little note which helps, says go to the next strain. They don't need the note. It doesn't have to be there. You're supposed to know on first and second endings, first time you play it, you do the first ending, and the second time you play it, you do the second ending. And if there's no repeat sign, you keep going. So at the end of the first ending, you're going to start or keep going and play the beginning of the third line. Just go to the third line and keep going. Skip the second ending on the first time, right? We get down to the bottom of page 21, there's a DC al fine. Oh, good old DC. Means go back to the beginning and go to fine. Fine is the second ending there on page 21. So after we go back to the beginning, now we're playing it the second time, and then we'll skip the first ending and play the second. It can get a lot more interesting than that, believe me. This is it. And I looked in the book later, there's more of this kind of stuff. You're just going to love it. You wait. Let's play this together slowly. Now this is a loud march. This is a loud procession where people, a lot of pomp and, I'm better than you, nonsense-like thing, right? You're getting married. It's a happy thing. So bring out the melody, which is in the right hand, okay? It's loud. I mean, there's some soft parts in it. Okay, you go to page 21, third line down, it starts soft, and then it builds a little bit, and the last line is medium loud, and at the end that builds a little bit, so when you go back to the beginning, you're loud again. It puts in some contrast, and that's important in music. We want some contrast. So the right hand is here, left hand's here, foot's on the pedal. Here we go. I'll give you 4 counts because it's in 4/4 time. 1, 2, ready, go. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2,
la.